Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello.
That's good. You have a good question today? Life brings up questions. And if you're certain to them, good, and it works. But if you're not certain, tell me what it is that's bothering you. That's all. I'll sit down. I'll wait for the first person to speak. Otherwise, I will do what I need to do and share with you what I learned last week and yesterday.
I got one for you.
What?
I got pissed off at something yesterday.
But
Here.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. I got one for you. Start over.
uh-oh.
I got pissed off yesterday at something, really pissed off. Just really, not on the outside so much, but inside there was a ball of fire like a volcano.
Yeah?
I had a stomach ache the entire day. And it's so interesting how the stomach,
What upsets you?
none of your damn business, but just let's talk about getting upset. It wasn't the thing, it was the fact that I gave in to the anger, and I just compressed it, and it made it hotter.
Who are you angry with?
That's none of your damn business. Let's just stay to the point. It was just something that happened. It was the
But he's
reaction.
learned a lesson at least.
The point is, it's the reaction to whatever. It could have been anything. It could have been I stubbed my toe. For the sake of saying it was something stupid, I stubbed my toe, I got really angry, and then I escalated it, and it sent these poisons just throughout my whole body to the point that it actually made me get a stomach ache. And I actually had to take, remember I asked you for a green pill yesterday? And one of those little Gas X? And those tend to work for me for everything. And I thought, well, maybe I have indigestion. And then I realized later on, nope, because I totally overreacted.
That's right.
I suppressed it, and then I compressed it to try and keep it in, and it literally turned into poison in my stomach.
Exactly, because people, if you have a situation like that, let's say you have a stomach ache and you want to go somewhere, and then you get angry with it. All of a sudden, you've fallen from grace. And then you get worse. And then when you get worse, you got to get angry with it so you get better. And it never stops, unless you stop and take another look. Come back. But coming back is meaning we're going forward. Because back isn't back. It's where you see things from a different point of view. Now, since he ruined my show,
No, what he said is very good.
I know, but that's something we should all know.
What,
by now.
yes, but you know, it's
I'm just
interesting.
joking. I'm
It's
just
great that he shared that.
I know,
Because
it's
everyone
very
in this
interesting.
room has those experiences and no one wants to share them.
No, it was good for him.
Yes.
It was good for him.
I'm done with it.
Good.
And that's what the man walking his dog said about somebody, you can do what you want with it. I'm gonna make a case out of that. Remember that joke?
Yeah,
No.
I do.
The man was walking his dog pooped on the grass, and the neighbor came out and said, I'm gonna make a case out of that, and he said, you can do whatever you want with it. My
Oh,
dog's
that's.
done."
I wonder how that's going to fit when we start to get everybody to hear it. It's his fault.
Well, we just won't worry about that.
All right.
Everybody would love to hear you, Roy.
Well, I'd like to put emphasis on something and to talk about it. I have a problem of losing my vocabulary. I used to have a very, very big vocabulary, like Chuck here, and I upchucked it. But whatever it was, it's what was the name? Sepsis? Sepsis?
Septis,
Yes,
Roy.
sepsis.
I do sepsis.
I almost died from it, but never mind. There's a long story to that. All right, I had some people involved with trying to get rid of me. But never mind. I lost my abilities to speak like I should. But it's done some good for me. because it's squeezed my way down to basic English. And in basic English, it's so beautiful to be able to talk in basic English and have the rest of it go away to look clever. The knowledge of good is not always the knowledge of good, is it? No. Because the knowledge of good is language, tremendous amount of language. And you could be glorified on those languages. But what's more important is what gives birth to language. Where does the birth to language from us come? To be favored by the Creator. And so I think I shall discuss this with you. And you can also stop me and we will talk about it. But I want to talk to you about the simplest things. When you see pictures, paintings of famous painters, I was just going to excuse me for a minute, because I'm trying to say something and it came out different. So let me start again. When you want to, what you have to do to find God is to find what is absolutely still. In the scriptures, it says, "Be still and know I am God." Now, I'm a little bit of a physicist about things like that. And I understand that there's no place in the universe where anything could be still. Einstein said, there's no rest frame. You know what I mean by rest frame? In the whole universe, everything is moving, except the singularity. And the singularity is, let there be light. And it is not inside the universe, but absolutely at rest. It doesn't move relative to all the other things that are moving in the universe, which has time. Time is a result of, just to be simple, a flowing stream of gravity. Just see what it is. A flowing stream. In the beginning there was a void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And where did the light, let there be light, where could that come from? How can infinitely cold, infinitely nothing, the void, the infinite void, to make a universe, you have to have space, infinite space. But then you also have to have an infinite energy. And so in the scriptures, it's beautifully simple, except you just read it and you go on and it doesn't make any sense. But it's real, because there is such a thing as a singularity. And the singularity is a name for let there be light. Same thing. So religion and physics come together. They're one and the same. And it scares the heebie-jeebies out of the scientists. They will not talk about that way. They always call it what did I say just now?
The singularity. Singularity.
A singularity. Singularity. It's all by itself. And there is no time. Time is only a movement. I'll give you an example, just for the hell of it, for the heaven of it. You have a lake, and it rains, and it always gathers more rain, and it overflows, and you have a river, and then you have a river flowing into the ocean, an obliging ocean, which, because if you didn't have an obliging ocean, you wouldn't have, the river would stop. So the river can always stop as long as something, it's obliging to take it. And so I'm not sure if I can follow through with this, because I started off on a big idea. But the thing is, I want to show you what time is. I think it will be very helpful. So you have this big lake, and it flows. Now, there's always something in materiality that represents whatever it is I said, the opposite to it.
Material.
In other words, it's not material, it's metaphysical. But there's something about that river that I can share with you. Because if you stand in the middle of the river and the water is flowing past you, you have several things happening. It pulls around you, it closes around you as pressure, and it flows past. And when you look behind you, you'll see that you've broken the water for a little bit. So on one side of the water, they're spinning this way, and the other side is spinning that way. And if they both come together, you've got matter. If they could stay together, because it doesn't stay together, because we're talking about water. But in physics, that's how it works the same way. And the minute it becomes a particle, the first particle, it resists the current. And the resisting of the current going around it is pressure and time equally. Pressure and time. If you go to the moon, if you go to the biggest star, which is the biggest, Pluto? Let's say you go to Pluto, which is 20 times as big. I'm not saying it is, I'm just making it up. You weigh more. You weigh the time, and time is different. Time is different everywhere. Everywhere, to the smallest, to the biggest, and the biggest has pressure from the flowing of the streams from every direction here, 3 dimensions, but we're only thinking about one, the river. Just one. It's the same principle, except it all falls apart when you're standing in the river. But it doesn't happen. Time is everywhere. And if it wasn't for time, the curving around like a boat going through the water, see? If you don't have that, you see, the boat going through the water has pressure, pushes it, resists. The faster it goes, the more power it has. And so when it curves around, that curve is time and gravity at the same time. It's what you weigh. And so on Pluto, you would weigh much more, and time would be different. But when you go down to the smallest, tiniest little thing, the very first one, I know what they are. They don't. But let me just say, the littlest one also resists the current. Even though it's being pulled with the current, it's still just a tiny, tiny bit slower. Because time is what causes matter to exist. So you can't have, in this universe, you cannot have stillness. Because there's time everywhere. Because if it wasn't for time, there wouldn't be matter. Because it compresses. Even in the smallest parts, dark energy, dark matter. So small you can't see it through any kind of contraption. Now, so when Jesus spoke, he says, "Be still and know I am God." That is a big question. Where will you find "be still"? Anybody could guess where you could find "be still"? Anybody wants to make a comment on that?
Is it within yourself? Within yourself?
No, that's not an answer. Well, yes, it's within yourself. Yes, it's within yourself. That's where you'll find the answer.
Is be still?
That's right.
Is be still the presence of the Father in you?
Say it again.
Is be still the presence of the Father in you? And when you stand in his presence,
Did you say God? Yes.
God the Father, yes.
Well, you're correct. But may I suggest a little bit extra so you can see it clearer and how it affects the way you can live forever.
Does time stop still when you're in that?
No.
Okay.
No,
I mean, time's-
you leave
Okay.
time behind.
Okay.
Now, let me let's discuss the situation you're in. When you came into the world, this is my way of saying it over and over again. When you came into the world, the culture of the world, and it happens, gets inside you by your parents, and your parents' parents, and your parents' 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 parents, all the way back to Paradise Lost, where with women, the woman is in charge of the stupid idiot called Adam. But anyway, it was meant. But now it's backwards. Now we got that he has become human, the way we are. When he was thrown out of the garden, it was 40 days and 40 nights, whereby he adapted to the animal, part animal and part human, and now with conflict, because he has emotion. He didn't have emotion. He had light in him when he was there, and that light, and God spoke to him in the Bible. It's there, and you can see it if you just read it carefully. He says, "Don't eat off that tree." It doesn't mean to say it was poisonous. He says, "Don't eat it." But he did. God says, "I will give you eternal life if you don't do that." But he began to learn a life of strife. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, well, now, and he says, because you've done this thing, you shall become bonded to the woman as one flesh. There's something in that. So the woman is part man, and the man is part woman. And that doesn't work. Men have to be men, and women have to be women. But the kind of man that's born from a woman looks to the woman as the cause of his existence, which to some degree is true, but not true enough, because her love is going to kill him. Because he's looking towards her for something that he needs to take care of her in her. Every woman has that problem. Every woman living has that problem. They're born, they've never had a man, they've never had a father. The father is a failure. Every man that comes out is a failure father, but with potential to be a good father. But you have to find the father of the father. Like my father had the father of the father. So when he died, I loved him. I really loved him. But it wasn't a silly love. It wasn't a silly love. It was really, I really loved him in a sense. And the pain wasn't too much. But one day, something said to me walking down the street, it's a long story, that's not your father. I'm your father. It came into my head. I was okay from that day forwards. Now, I got off my subject matter, really, but I'm going to come back to it. Because what spoke to me, or seemed to speak to me, because I can't give you the words that were said, because it wasn't words. It was an awareness. And the awareness, in the awareness, is something that is not of earth. And I accepted what was not of earth. Because you accept what other people talk to you about. You get angry. When you come into the world, you lose that intuition. I didn't lose the intuition. I experienced him even at a young age. It was something that was not of this world, and no timing in it. There is no time. There's only time for the universe. And the only place you can find no time is the singularity. Because it's still. Absolute stillness. It is, I'm looking for the word. I had the word in the beginning. It's a singularity. Everything in the universe spins. And everything, and there's billions and trillions of what time is to what it is. In other words, time changes on Pluto, and maybe you weighted heavier 10 times. And you go to the moon, you'll be lighter. The pressures are, but all that has to do with time. Time is a pressure. Time is a pressure, and it's equal. You can't separate it from gravity. The gravity comes along, spins it, spins the little particle, and the minute it spins, it's created, it's not finished yet, it has to give it time. It spins, and immediately it slows down just a fraction of very fraction of a small time. And so the smallest first particle has time. And the biggest has time with great, tremendous pressures like the sun. It takes 20, 30 years in a different time under pressure, for the light and the heat to come out from the center. 20, 30, 40 years to come from the inside out. But time is not the same in it because the pressures are so high. And it's hot. But we won't go into it. I'm just saying there's variations. Time, you cannot be still and know God because time is in the way. Who understands that?
I see that.
I had
Here.
an experience.
Hold on.
Bernie?
I'll finish my point out later on, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I don't want to interrupt if you have more to say.
No, go ahead. I've got more to say, but I want to listen.
I had an experience when I was a little girl, and 5, 4, 7, somewhere around there, because it was a reoccurring thing that I would do.
Yeah.
And just before I'd go to sleep, when everything was very quiet, I would go into this place in my mind, and this place was the teeny place, but yet within this tiny place, it was just enormously huge. And I relate it to what, without all the physicists and the time and the weight and all that, which I was not being aware of, but it was this I don't even know how to explain it other than that. It was just the,
I get it. You don't explain it, I will. Hold your
listen,
horse.
thank you.
Well, so it's impossible to find God unless you give up time. How do you do that? The animals can't do it. They don't know anything about this. They exist in time. Time is very important to everything. It's relative to everything. Can't have anything without time to exist. The wood in this is waiting over a period of 100 years, but you come back, everything's not the same if you leave it alone. Everything is changing, and we change quicker than anything else because we have willfulness. The monkey can't be willful. It will go through whatever it goes through. And the monkey, I don't think a monkey has any diseases at all. And most animals in the wild don't have any diseases. But human beings have thousands of diseases. Something awful wrong. You see, so we are a special creature, but we don't exist as happily as a monkey. A monkey doesn't have any guilt. It runs and fights and they eat each other, maybe, who knows. Whatever it is, they're doing the right thing, eat to each other. They eat each other, it's all right. But we don't want to eat each other, and they can't sin. We have the ability to live forever, and we don't appreciate it. We often think that we can decide our own life. But you see, there's another scripture, if I can remember it, is, I wish I could remember because I didn't write it down. Unless you become as a little child, you can no ways enter the kingdom of heaven. The little child has, when the child comes into the world, as I started to say a few moments ago, that when you come into the world, you come into the world with intuition. Adam had intuition, but he had a closer relationship to God, so it's more clear. But when I say intuition, it's the opposite to outtuition. Outtuition means you are learning from that's important. Christianity or Judaism, you're learning it from an ordinary person who thinks of himself higher than he really is, see. And so you don't belong to a church, never. Don't belong to this church, because you'll never be free. The only thing you can belong to is your God. So there's a way back, because when you come into the world, you come into the world with intuition, the ability to see beyond the monkey, and then some forever. In other words, there's a potential in intuition to find intuition again, unless you become as a little child. See, he says you still have it, but your mother screwed you, and your father did the same thing. They didn't understand all these things, and then it says in the scripture, the Jewish scripture, it says, honor your mother and father. The days may be long, the land the Lord our God giveth thee. But what if your mother and father are wicked? What if your mother and father are just the extension of a whole period of, what word am I looking for?
Generations,
No, it's,
Lineage, a lineage.
well, lineage would work, yes, because it goes from one person to another, never understanding it and never realizing that when they came into the world, your parents and your parents' parents and your parents' parents' parents, all the way back to Paradise Lost, everybody comes into the world but through a mother and a father that was the extension of that mother and father, and it goes all the way back again. And as far as you go, they all make the same mistakes, exactly. So the mother does not know when she's loving the child, she's ruining him. The mother does not know when the mother is impatient, they're destroying the child. And they see the cruelty of it, but the mother doesn't see it. The father doesn't see it. All he wants is pleasure. See? And all she wants is, please wake up, wait, love the hell out of me, don't love the hell in me. But the tendency is to look to her because that seems like where he's coming from, which he did. And so the tendency is to look to her and the pleasure she can give, if you know what I mean, in an unhealthy way. In a very unhealthy way. The more he gets sex, the more he wants. The more you drink, the more you want. The more you eat, the more you want. There's millions of them, and each one of them keeps alive what's wrong with them. And occasionally, a person begins to awaken because he still has deep inside him that intuition. It's there. It's still there. And every one of you has it, and you have to find it. Intuition. Do you remember that when you came into the world, how many of you saw how cruel and crazy your parents are? Can you see hands go up? Everybody here. And you did it too.
And my neighbors as well.
Pardon?
And my neighbors as well.
Yes.
Crazy
Everybody-
behavior, crazy.
The whole world is this way, and it's going to collapse. You see, when I came to America, it was so much better. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful. It was the best place on earth. I never seen anything like that. But slowly but surely, you saw what would happen. It happens to Rome. 400 years becoming magical, and 400 years self-destruct. And that's happening to America. And Jesus comes. Why Masters comes because I understand him. I'm not as magic as he is. He's magic. I think the universe is magic. He can make wine from water, and all I can do is make the other way around. I don't think that's funny. See? However, back to my point of view. They are born, they pick up, everybody picks up the shoes, they walk in the shoes of the parents, whether they like it or not. If they like it, they're the extension of it. When they don't like it and they get angry, they become addicted from it. Because when you get shocked, you still take the nature of the person with you. So it depends on how you react to it. Whether you react to your father first or you react to your mother first, it picks it up in you, and it's in you. As a woman, you'll have a little man in you. As a woman, you can have your mother in you. But nothing but their identities. They're not meant to be there. And it comes from the world. And then they tell you go to school, and everything is from the external. But you're not a creature of the external. You're a creature of paradise lost. You're not meant to be this way. But the trouble is, you sitting here in the audience have been being angry with your kids. Most of you you get angry and upset with them, or you love them too much. But loving too much is seduction. And anybody that you find in the world as you grow up, if they deal with you the same way as your mother, loving you, they always want something back from you. And then you become a slave again. You'll never escape of it. Never escape. Now, what we need is intuition. Does everybody know what intuition is? Can you sense it? Can you remember? If you can't sense it right now, can you remember it when you saw your parents being stupid and cruel and impatient? Can you remember that? How many of you can remember all that? But you could see it, couldn't you? They couldn't. Do you understand that?
I can remember when I was that way, I contributed my craziness to my children because I was duplicating from my parents. And thank you to you, I've been on a path, that has, a lot of that drama has been eliminated,
But it's very easy, if I may break in here, honor your mother and father, I just mentioned that. Then everybody will say, what do you mean? Honor your mother and father. My father beat me to death, practically. Blah, blah, blah. You hear all the stories. But it says in the commandments, honor them. Honor your mother or father, the days may be long, the Lord thy God giveth thee. Why is that? Because you realize and she realizes it, and your father didn't realize it, but you have it, and you're a special person. You may have 10 people in your family, and you're the only one. And the rest of them go to hell, and you have a potential to go to heaven. And that's why they hated you. And that's why they caused you to doubt yourself. And so you have doubted yourself. You see where I'm going with this? Okay. We're coming to time back in a minute.
I had a friend, and we used to hang out with him, and he had parents that were divorced, and then
You're going to be, if I'm to hear you, slow down because
Okay.
the voice
okay.
in the microphone makes it.
Okay. I had a friend that I grew up with, and his mother and father were divorced, then remarried, and he was living in a family that was very dysfunctional. He was the adult in the family, even though he was one of the younger brothers. And I understood what you were saying because it's honoring the position. He respected his parents, he did his chores, and he didn't get upset with them, and he was able to function because
That's rare.
he had that. And
That's rare. I see, but
Yeah.
the reason is that you have the gift of remembering your mother and father being horrible to you. But as you go towards the light, you see that they could not help themselves. There are really wicked people on earth. Really, really wicked people that never will ever get better, and they die in horrible ways. And they may be your parents. But that's not your business. Your business is, oh, I see. They couldn't see. They have the gift of it, but somehow they lost it. And they're dead now. What's the purpose of me judging them. Because I got to see it. And because I got to see it and understand that they didn't know what they were doing, why do I keep judging them? That's not their fault. Their parents did them in, and their parents did it, and the parents did it, and the parents' parents, and the parents' parents. And all of a sudden, you have a longing for purpose, and they didn't. Or they went to church every week and never got it, because you can't find it there. No church, you can't find it. None. This is something of great pleasure. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say. And so, letting in your heart, because you have found I shall say what it is. I mentioned it earlier in the discussion.
It's an awakening. It
No.
was an awakening.
No. I was going to say something. You can't guess me. It's 1 second. Unless you become as a little child, you cannot enter the kingdom. Why is he saying that? Why am I talking to you about that? Which you are now, you can see it. I've seen it, I'm sharing it with you, and suddenly you can also take the back off from being judgmental to your parents and see that they were broken, and completely broken, generations after generations after generations. And not possible, because if you become a bright person, they kill you. That's how dangerous it was in those old years that have passed. We now have a country called America, and we have an opportunity to do the right thing without being murdered. Because they murder all the people so they have to sort of save their own lives and do it quietly to themselves. It can't be described. You can't talk about it. In many of those countries, still today, they look at you as you're crazy, and that you're dangerous. And even now in America, I'm dangerous, and Donald Trump's dangerous. See, you can see it, can't you? So, how about letting go of your mother and father? Do you think you can let go of your mother and father? For they know not what they do. Look at this. He screams. He's burning. His hands have got nails. His legs and feet, nails. Horror. Pain. But he doesn't hate the hurter. That's it. Hurts. Painful. Doesn't hate the hurter. The hurter wants you to hate. Then you lose who you are. Correct? That's the whole thing. So, I'm going round and round the mulberry bush, but I'll come back in a minute.
What I notice about myself is I saw the things around me and how corrupt they were. But then I saw how corrupt I was from that. And
That's your child nature, seeing your parents.
and then seeing it in myself, not wanting to be like them or
Yes.
what I see around me.
Yeah.
But I think my problem has always been trying to stop that.
No, you can't stop it.
I know, and I'm just saying that you don't want to, you just see the craziness and you don't want to be crazy yourself.
But you go crazy trying to fix her.
Exactly.
But if you exist, finding the word, if you exist as that state of mind you have when you're born, intuition. Your intuition will show you, don't resent your father and mother. Otherwise, you continue the horror into the generations and for yourself.
Yeah, see, if I had the experience of realizing that I hated my parents, but then it was a repentance, and I saw more about how I reacted to them and how I treated them more than how they treated me. In other words, I was sorry for the way I treated them in response to how they treated me,
I know, but
and I let it go, and I
have you let it go?
yeah, I
But
actually
then
I
you're
walked
free. Then you're free.
of my parents.
Yeah, free from your parents and free, period.
But I still had, compulsions and things in life.
All right. So you've done it with your parents, but you need to do it with everybody else too. Because they had parents and they didn't see what was happening. And you can see what's happening in them. And you are the opposite, 90%. 180 is
180 degrees different, yeah.
yeah, 180 degrees.
Yeah.
You can see it. And so when you're dealing with ordinary people every day, they have that same problem. Everybody on earth. Even if it's a person from Borneo.
Including myself.
Yeah, including yourself. So if you can take it in your stride and see watch people. Some people are appeasers. There are only two kinds. Appeaser, lovey, lovey, lovey. I will give myself to you, got to give me something back. See? Or bully. There is nothing else. Neither one of you are human. See? Because you give in to a wicked person and thinking that, and feeling guilty from that, because you're giving in, there's a guilt. And the guilt says, maybe I can help that person because I see I did wrong. Maybe I haven't given him a little bit more love. It never stops. If you give more love, he wants more. It only does is embolden him and embolden him and embolden him, and then you're finished, both of you. He goes crazy, you die from sickness and disease, etc., etc. But I need to come around back. Because we still have redemption. In that intuition, there is an element of, I said the word just now. Redemption. Because you can't blame a little boy or a little girl when they come into the world is a threat to the parent. The parent doesn't see it. The parent never has understood that. The parent has always loved their mother or hated the mother, whatever it is. But the point is, they don't see it. They don't see it. They pass it on as a matter of fact. But you can see, as when you get to 2 years old or 3 years old, the destruction, the injustice, and you begin to hate. And your parents, if you say, no, Dad, I didn't do that. No, bang. He's doing that because he likes the other kids better than you. And the reason why he likes the other, because he is able to sense that you, as a little child, can see what he can't see, and you can see them. And he senses that he's been caught by his own kid. It's so quick like that. He will turn on that type of child where all the others have given in already.
You're talking about the.
You understand what that-
Well, you're talking about like the nuns when I went to school. How angry these angry women were towards little boys.
Of course.
And yeah, I was really mistreated by them. And,
I know.
And yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because they're women. And they have no business teaching anybody unless they have found what we are talking about to speak about. We're coming now around. Because now we're talking all about around and round and round. Where do we go? How do we find paradise lost? How will we find be still and know? All right, now we come back down to earth. I have found what all that means. You have to, it's not easy to explain. So I'll go over it in different ways, if you don't mind. When you close your eyes and see the little sparkles there, and perhaps images or memories coming to the surface. But let's start with the little pixels, which are programmed like a thumb drive to a computer. You can't see what it's doing, but you can see it as it goes through you. What you are doing when you're looking at your eyelids, let me go back again. You see pictures and paintings of people doing this and looking up with the eyelids closed. And you wonder, what are they doing that for? They discovered something. And I'm discovering it just by watching some of those pictures of looking up. What's it doing looking up? They may have a different reason to explain it as I can. I can explain it better. It still works, but I just want to share how much more there is in that. We're talking about a place where there's no time. That's the only place you can be still, even if it's a fraction of a second. It's all it takes, a fraction of a second. But not even a fraction of a second. The minute you close your eyes, when you're on the journey, you have to be on the journey. You can take anybody else and do that, and nothing happens. All he sees is pixels. Leave me alone. Nonsense. Not nonsense. It's not for him. It's for the likes of you. Now I can explain it. Close your eyes, look at the eyelids, and what do you see is little sprinkles of light, little different shapes of light. But you are looking at it with some light because you couldn't see it if there was no light. If you go into a dark room, close your eyes, it's still there. It's shining on your eyelids. You look through your eyes, but see, I'll get into trouble in a few minutes, but I'll do the best I can, because it's not easy. The fact that you can see those pixels running across your eyelids from the inside means there is a semblance of light that shows you that. Does that make sense? In other words, you can go into a dark room, close your eyes, and you can see those pixels. But it is a different kind of light. It's not from the sun. It's not from the lamps in your house. It's from the light of God that's shining. It's coming through you, but you can see it as it comes through you. If you close your eyes, you can catch a glimpse of it. And the minute you actually look at that, and then you have your hand in a minute, I'll share that with you. What it is the light. And when you understand that the light has just been given to you, and it's always been there, but you haven't noticed it in the sense that I've shared it with you, you just go to sleep. The left side, when you go to sleep, you go to the left side. You want to find God, stay in the middle, or stay on the right side, because there's a right side and there's a left side, and nothing in between. So if you stay where you are, that's the side, that's the side, that's one side, and if you go to sleep, it's the other side, and you dream. But when you dream, you have nightmares. How can you see a nightmare if there wasn't light? It's light. God speaks to you. You have nightmares. You have horrible nightmares. You wake up in a sweat because it's so real. But where was the light that was showing you? It's showing you. You've got 3 dimensions inside your head. But that's the negative. It's still relative to it, relative suffering.
But
It's
what if, Mr. Masters, what if they're prophetic dreams in color? Prophetic dreams in
course.
color.
Of course.
That's amazing. I've had many.
I'll give you an example.
Please do.
Yeah, not me, but I can just give you an example. I make it up.
Okay.
A boy hates his father. Hates it, he's broken and everything. And he has his desperation. And one day he has a dream. And he sees his father coming. See? But the father that's coming is not the one that died and did him a lot of harm. But never mind, God puts the image of his father. And he is moving, given the angels or whatever it is, however it is. And the father says to his son, I really am sorry about that. I do really love you. I just made a mistake. And all of a sudden, the child, if it's real, and the child is desirous of becoming better again, he becomes relieved of it. But it's God in the shape of the Father, or the Spirit of God. That's it. He's cured. That's how it works. There's magic there. It just happens often in different ways. But you get it. I see you get it. I see you from a distance. You feel better now, don't you? You've been having redemption. You got redemption. See that? But let me continue. So, but basically, I'm going to use relativity. I spoke in my program with the relativity, the stillness of the singularity. But it's the same, somewhere near the same place is in you. When I realize something, when I really realize it, oh, I see that. It's coming from another place as light. In other words, if here's the relativity, the universe is full of time. I discussed that with you. Time, creating things, shaping things. Time, gravity, time. And building and crashing and smashing. And you can see all those things through telescopes and things that happen to you in your life, because you don't understand what I'm trying to share with you, and I'm almost there. So, when you look at your eyelids, it means that you have been given another sight, another way of seeing things, another light that will become lighter and lighter and lighter and change you for the difference, because the light that's shining in you is Him shining, giving you light. And the light, when you look at this pixels, is a real light. It's a light from another realm that you will become aware of in a more deeper sense one day. But it is a light, and the light is not like the light of the sun, not like the lamp. It's the energy, a brand new energy called the light. And what it's doing, it's making you see emotions. Adam was a part man, part animal, in conflict with his human when he finally finished transforming from the Garden of Eden, right? Outside. We are getting, slowly but surely, we are getting light that shines through the eye. And so not only do you see with the eye, you see through it. You see beyond it. You see beyond. You see people where you see them like you've never seen them before. At the same time, you're forgiving them. You find yourself forgiving them. It's not important anymore. It shows you all those things. You can't help, your father and mother couldn't help themselves. So, since they couldn't help themselves, they're in hell somewhere. They've got their punishment. But you could see, you don't want to follow their footsteps because you still hate them. You have no life again. You got to let your parents go. You can't judge them anymore. Everything bad happens for good for those that love the Lord. So you start off in a bad way, and you suffer, and you started to look, and this is how you find it. You find Roy Masters or somebody else is saying the same thing, and you get the idea. And the more you live like that, the clearer it is, and your emotions disappear. And so you have the same makeup as Adam and Eve. They had light, energy, the motivations are from that light. And that light is gracious. It is eternal life. And so the more you suffer and the calmer you get, and you don't hate the hurter, God will always be on your side. He will take the pain away, and when all is over, you're more new than you were before. Not only new, but you are new. You are becoming new. And an identity is growing inside you, not your parents. Not standing in the shoes of the parents, standing in God's shoes if he could wear shoes. Who understands that? Nice and easy, isn't it? How do you do it, Anne? Did you understand me?
I did.
Go ahead. But you see how beautiful that is?
It is.
And so you don't have to make any decisions because you're not running your stories anymore. He is there And I don't know if there's such a thing as angels or whatever it is, but whatever it is guiding you not to be angry. And so that when people feel your presence, it's disturbing. The energy that comes from you is very disturbing. Some people will love it. And you become the extension of you instead of an extension of your parent. Isn't that beautiful? Because it's the better of the two. And you forgive your parents because they missed it. That's all. They couldn't help themselves. And you understand it. And you're free. Let it go. You can't let it go without that. But when you have it, you have the power to let it go.
Can I say something on that note?
Yeah.
When I came in here today, I haven't been able to come for a couple of weeks. And when I walked in here, I just felt like for a while I've been stale. And as you've been speaking, when I first came here, I exposed everything I knew how to expose within the wrong. And I didn't care who saw anything about me. And then I can see in this moment an unwillingness has taken a little bit of, an unwillingness has come over me. And I can see it as you're speaking, because when I come here, I'm very free to accept the love of God. And when I'm in my own circumstances, it's a little bit harder because I'm fighting my circumstances and living my circumstances.
But see, when you leave here, if you really understood it, you go home different.
I do go home different, Roy, but there's just a little bit of that unwillingness still left in me.
It's it or nothing.
Pardon me?
It's either it or it's nothing. It's meaning light. And you can come home and see your mother who's crazy, or your brothers who are crazy because the mother and the father. You immediately see, and the minute you see, they're forgiven. But you're not forgiving them. It's just not important anymore.
I'm not sure if it's them as much as it's the crazy in me that I want to see now, because I can understand.
The crazy in you is recognizing that your mother couldn't help and your father couldn't help, and you have the gift of seeing they couldn't help and say, thank God. Simple. You actually see they couldn't help themselves. They were possessed. And you can be repossessed, because light is a different energy. And it gives you, in the very beginning, it gives you what you lost, intuition. You just see your parents. They could not help themselves. And Jesus Christ, the thing he cried out was, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Shout it out loud. That was important. He had us shout it out loud. Let your parents go, or you're done. Goodbye. That's how important it is. It's too important for you to judge your parents. You let it go. No, let it go. There's nothing else. There's no explanation. You see it, you say, I see that. And you're free. Because you're free because you're not judging them anymore. You're not sorry for them. It's only that you don't judge anymore. Oh, it's gone. My life is now on a different track. Immediately and forever. And make sure you don't let people get upset. But if you really got it, if you got it all the way through with great sincerity, nothing can touch you. They can scream at you, put you down, put a fist up. I will tell you the story of my life. It's every day exactly that. And they could not touch me. And when I take a person down at 300 pounds, 250 pounds, I don't remember doing anything. He's just laying on the floor. I don't know how I did it. Never mind my judo. It's more than that. Much more. It isn't me. It's him in me, creating bad into good. See? You'll be fine. Stop struggling. Be still. Because be still is in a place for a fraction of a second. The minute you step back and look at your eyelids, it already begins. And then when you be aware of your fingers and tingle, they need attention also. They need a little attention of what it is to drop emotion. It's flowing in your body as well. But that's all you have to do, is to extend it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. You remember this? Yeah. That's a bit. All right. Now, Ann Masters, how do you feel about this?
Boy, you've hypnotized me many times.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have.
Once, and I ran away from it because it's too dangerous for you. I saw it was too dangerous for you.
Thank you.
I don't want to be them that did it to you.
I know you did. But I benefited. I benefited.
Well, you'll be all right.
I know I will.
Anybody want to discuss it, or is it clear?
It's clear.
Is it fairly clear, isn't it? You are seeing with another set of eyes. You have two sets of eyes. And if you're blind, you can almost see a person.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It takes a little while, but you can still see. To some degree, in a different way. But you're better off not being blind. We have a lot of people with emotions. You see people, glasses, I got glasses too. But the children have glasses. In Japan, children are push. Instead of having, what do they call it when you take the pressure of your arm? Blood pressure, yeah. It's affecting their eyes. Pressure in the eyes. Not good. She had pressure in the eyes. She almost went blind. Emotions. She has to take drops. As soon as she stops being resentful inside, eyes will be safe. I'm getting old, so there it is. Maybe an excuse for things that I wasn't sorry for a long time ago. But what we're looking for is when you react to people, you give yourself over to the dark side of their forces, and you become the extension of that, and you can't help it, and you may not even see it, because there's something about reacting that allows the dark side of the person you hate to get inside you and take away your relationship with God, the ability to see through his eyes, and you see through the dark side. And so it's opposite. You become doubt. The minute you get upset by your parents, doubt. And so you carry that doubt with you through all your life until you realize the truth that will set you free. Because doubt is equivalent to faith. It's equivalent in its strength. So the more you doubt yourself, the worse you become. The worse you become, the more you want to do better, but then you always doubt what's right. And in that many moments of doubt, you are having a composition, an addition, one after another, which is equivalent to faith upside down. Great misery or great happiness, perfection. The perfection and the opposite, but the power of evil is equivalent as you go, where it would have been the equivalent to good.
Oh, Mr. Master.
What are you saying?
I said, that's pretty heavy.
It is, isn't it? But you can see it. You see it. Is there no point to being angry, is there? It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't, because it causes doubt. And doubt is equivalent to evil as faith is for good. So if you get to be 90, 80, full of hate, it could have been full of light. And a person within a person. So when the body falls away, the living, loving person or the beloved of God appears where we know not where. I'll just take it back a little bit further. In the beginning there is the void, nothing. And darkness was on the face of the deep. Nothing. Forever nothing. All of a sudden, God says, let there be light. The kind of light that makes a universe. Well, where did the light come from? Can you imagine? You can imagine in the beginning there was a void. You can imagine that. You know what nothing is. But what is 0 and 1 and 0 minus 1? I tell you, minus 1 is such a thing. So when you're looking at the void, can the void create an infinite mass called a singularity? Let there be light forever. Now, the void is nothing. 0. What about something minus 0? To make the point. Is not minus 0 important?
I suppose, I don't know.
Yeah.
It has a value.
Yes, it has a value.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I can say. It gives you a little idea that there's something more than a void of nothing. There's another realm.
Yeah.
Guess where the realm is? In me. I'm given to see, to talk to you, otherwise I wouldn't be able to. I'm frail, I'm not strong, or not strong enough, but I see it. And I can sense that the light is coming through me. And Jesus says, why call me good? Christians are crazy because they think Jesus is God. It's the Son of God. It's how we should be. And so he comes into the world. And when he comes into the world, his light shines into the world in a way they've never seen before and appreciate it. And those who appreciate him are the extension of him, and so on it goes forever and ever. Hopefully the whole universe will find it, except the wicked ones, and then you'll have a last war, and they will lose. Because you can't fight me. On the radio I said, on the left, can you come and tell me how wrong I am? You're a coward. You don't know how to talk to me, you're afraid of me. 50 years goes by, rare, and all I get is Donald Duck.
They canceled
They
themselves.
can't do it. Can't.
Yeah, they cancel themselves out through their anger.
That's
It's
right.
basically what they do.
That's right. So your life will take a different course from what it would have been to the grave and beyond.
It's changing.
That's right. So you're going to get younger and taller. We can't have little pipsqueaks in heaven. All right. Any questions? Any discussion?
Yeah.
I've covered a lot because we are looking.
Yeah.
I get two eyes.
Yeah.
One is from the Son, one is from the Father.
Yeah.
I was going to say one of the things that really stuck out to me was how you were saying it's not our life, it's God's, but we go through life living it as if it's our life, wanting things to happen in ways that we want our life to be.
Either way, you do not live your own life. What you call your own life could be very dangerous because you think that what you got is real and you don't want to believe that you're wrong. And the wrong started with your parent and you lost your way for a while. But now you're beginning to get it back. You can remember, when I talk to you, you become as a little child. You understand, you can remember the time when you said, what is the meaning of life? And something would say to me, you will know. That's what it says to me every time. That's all. I can remember doing my diamond cutting. And 16 years old, cutting diamonds, learning. Am I going to be here for a long time? Is this where I'm going to be here? And immediately something says, no, don't worry. It's just like that. It doesn't speak, but it says, it has a sound like that, but it doesn't have a sound. And I was okay. See? And so I got interested in hypnosis. It went on beyond that. And here I am, a philosopher. I've left the hypnosis behind because I'm an anti-hypnosis, because the world, when I speak to you about your father and mother, they're in a hypnotic state. Everybody that comes into the world with a parent like that takes on their nature and goes on and on and on till the whole country becomes that way, except for a small number. In the history of the world, America is quite remarkable. We're still not broken yet to the point of civil war, very close. But this, here comes someone just like me. I recognize him a long time before it's not just an ordinary person. He sees exactly what I see. And he acts on it. You can't get him to upset. He frightens all the lefties, terrifies. That is good. That is just like it should be. Terrify them. One man, terrifying. Now, if I could get on 1,000 stations, I could do the same thing, but I do it on smaller stations. But I need to help. He can't teach other people to do this. I can. I know that the ins and the outs of everything now, as far as what we can take you. I can't. I'm on a journey, and there's more to come. That's all I can tell you. Well, you say goodbye? I think I've given you enough, don't you? Unless you want to say something, Chuck?
Pretty heavy.
It's very good. I hope we have more of these kind of discussions and I like the way it just evolved.
Yeah.
It just evolved. It just grew naturally, the discussion, and covered all sorts of different bases.
Isn't it beautiful?
And it was great.
Isn't it
And
beautiful?
having an audience here of people who are willing to share makes it even better.
And if Anne can do it, she can recover from everything. And I think she's getting closer to it.
Do we have time to where I can share a dream that I had?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm always listening to.
That's a nice invitation saying absolutely. Thank you so much. I don't think it was really a dream because it was way too real. But I heard my voice just as plain as I'm speaking to you. And it was before dawn, so I know I was kind of sleeping, but it didn't seem like I was sleeping. But I heard myself say, my mother died in 2013. It's about a year later. And I heard myself say, Mom, are you in heaven? And she says back to me, well, I don't know if this is heaven, sister, but I'm sitting on this green grass next to this river. And the sky is the bluest blue you've ever seen. I didn't see any of this, but it's telepathic. She's telling me this.
Oh, she's talking to you.
She's talking to me.
Before she died.
No, this was a year after she died. And this communication's telepathic.
Was your mother a good person?
She became more contrite as she became older. And she was okay. You know, I mean, when we were younger, it was very difficult. But as she grew older, you know, more maturity came with her. And she softened, you know, this.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Of all the universe, there is a paradise in this world, in this particular world, our world. Well, you're never going to find it. It was that way when Adam, the story of Adam, remember? He was thrown out of the garden, but he crossed a point between what is glorious and beautiful and what is suffering. That's all. And then he had to change because he didn't have the beauty and the love and the potential of living forever, as God said, if you don't eat that and you behave yourself, so to speak, you will live forever. The purpose of life is he wants you to be a child of him. That's how he's creating a child, by creating many human beings and giving them a choice of love or not love. See, he wants them to love him, but not force. Therefore, everything bad happens for good. But for most people, everything bad works for bad. But everything that ever happened to me in my life, no matter how bad it was, always didn't get upset, didn't get annoyed, nothing. It is what it is. I'm okay with it. As simple as that. I'm not going to react to anything. But what that ability to not react is a gift. If you don't have the gift, you will react. You've got to find the gift. And that's what you do when you meditate. But meditation in a very special way that nobody has ever, I don't know anybody that understood outside of us what I just said today. When you close your eyes and step back, you're not stepping back, you're stepping forward, relatively speaking. You know what I mean by relativity? Relative to the world, I belong to it. But if I'm not belonging to it, then I'm relative to this. And then what happens is, when you look at your eyelids, it's the energy of looking at them pulls your
Consciousness?
your consciousness is a good word. It's the soul. It pulls the soul from the glue, it's glue, in a manner of speaking, glued to the brain. And the brain answers the world, the authority. And you can't fight it. It's impossible. But when you meditate and you're longing for meaning, and you do this in a longing for meaning, it means that the light disconnects you from your soul. It disconnects the soul, the spirit of what you will be in paradise. It pulls you away and makes you subject to that world, and you grow from it. Every time you deal with something with evil and overcome it with good, you grow and grow until nothing touches you, and anybody who touches you or tries dies. And if they don't die, the alternative is, wow, why am I being angry with that guy? He's telling the truth. He can flip. But if you look at the story of Roy Masters, hundreds of people die. Not because of me, because revenge is mine, saith the Lord. I trust that. Someone tried to kill me with sepsis. I know who it was. I know how they did it. But I have no feeling at all, like nothing happened. That's the way it should be. I'm alive, and I didn't die. I almost did. I've had lots of near misses. Always come out. Blood pressure this morning, 102, 103, and 62, and almost 90. I had a good fight just recently. And I ran into that place, and I didn't know who it was, and I took him to charge. I took him, and he ran like hell. I didn't care if it was who it was. Godzilla. That's the attitude. I saved the foundation, but we still got lots of problems with my son mainly. One of my sons is no good. That's all there is to it right now. All right. I hope you enjoyed it, and unless you have one more question?
Are you looking at me?
There's a gentleman there too.
Do you ever get fearful and scared?
No,
I mean, just feel it. You
No.
don't go through
it
it.
doesn't
but-
do me any good. I'm not
Okay.
afraid because God makes me not afraid. God is not afraid, and He loves me. So why would I be afraid?
Just
I
naturally.
just can't be afraid. I don't know how it is. I just can't be. It's nothing clever. It's a gift. And I can do the exorcisms where it's just a piece of cake. But nobody else can. But I've been the gift. It's a gift. You all have lots of gifts. But the gifts have to do with how you deal with cruelty. And not judge anybody. You can smack them in the nose if it's necessary. Because there's such a thing as war. There's such a thing as danger. There's such a thing as having to do something about something. Like Jesus at the temple, and throwing, the temple.
Were you going to say something?
What do they call the people that would?
Money changers.
The money changers. Yeah, but he was throwing everything away. The chickens were flying, the money was flying,
He made his own whip.
and nobody touched him. See? Get out now. Well, here's the pinnage. You can hear your pigeons in here. And here's your money. Bang. Nobody messed with it. I think Pontius Pilate wanted to free him, but he wouldn't let him. He knew what his job was. I don't know what my job is, but roughly I can guess it. It's possible what I'm thinking, but I won't say it because it's just a guess. Because I really don't know. I'm here for a reason, but I think the reason has something to do with helping you to see. That's it. I'm very happy with that. And thank you for the coming. Appreciate you coming. It's nice to express myself to somebody.